Well, Gemini, I said it. I knew that the universe was going to test us and do it in a very intimate way. And ultimately, it knows us because it is us, right? The universe is a reflection of everything that we are inside. Which means it knows our Achilles heel. It knows what's going to kind of like make our defensiveness pop out. And even though sometimes we say we want something, when we actually come across it or it starts to happen, or we actually have to stand up and fight for it, like it's not coming easy, there is a tendency to recoil and retaliate. And that doesn't make you a coward. It doesn't make you nothing. No. But what it does do, and this is the empowering part, this is the important part that you guys have to be aware of. It makes you aware of an aspect of yourself that you weren't aware of. Because it makes you aware of how our minds can trick us into thinking that we really do want something, or that, we have a kind of strategy or an image of the way that we want the world to be. But ultimately, as soon as we're confronted with it being that way, or confronted with the reality of it, as opposed to what we see in our head and what we can control, all of a sudden there's like, but do I really want this? Do I really want what wants me? Because ultimately, there's that sense of, the sense of a loss of control. It doesn't even have to be about hiding something, about, if somebody actually, okay, I got their attention now. If somebody actually pays attention to me, then, oh wait, if they actually look into this, then they might find shit out. It's not that. It's what you might find out about yourself, what you're going to discover about yourself when you're confronted with what it is that you actually wanted, or what it is that you actually asked for. If you actually asked for it, will you stand up and go all the way and do it? And I know you can feel that there's almost like a challenge behind my words. You're going to show up, Gemini? You're going to do it? You're going to wimp out? But that's actually not. And I think that that's the secret. The secret here is to not let yourself be bullied into or pushed into a corner based on somebody plucking your pride, somebody knowing you well enough to fucking get underneath your skin enough to fucking pluck your pride and say, oh, you're going to do it now? You're going to do it? You still have the ability to make the choice that is right for your life. Even though it may be like they're pushing at you, right? Oh, I'm going to humiliate Gemini. I'm going to fucking humiliate them. I'm going to be like, oh, I'm going to call them out on their shit. What you want to really do right now is to forget about controlling the crowd. Forget about controlling the situation. It's not about controlling other people. It's about controlling this people, the two twins that live inside of you. And the key here, this right now with this energy is balance, is keeping them as balanced as possible, which means what is the best for your life right now? What is the right thing for you to do right now? And not let yourself be kind of bullied or pushed into the direction but that somebody's push. Oh, you asked for it. So why aren't you showing up? Well, A, you picked a date that you knew that I couldn't come. B, you created a scenario that would be intentionally difficult for me and you knew would trigger me. So in other words, Gemini, the best way for you to handle this situation is almost like a pros and cons list, I guess, as mundane as that seems. In order to help you focus on what is actually important and true. Like, what is your truth? Because ultimately what they're trying to do is not necessarily confront you with sort of the obvious confrontation of, well, if I present this to them, will they accept it? That sort of, it's because honestly, it is a challenge in and of itself when you're faced with something that you actually want. Will you take it? But see, this isn't really what you actually want. This is what you actually want being taken and placed as bait in the middle of a fucking trap. So it's not actually what you really want. It's what you don't want dressed up as what you do want. And people are going to try to make it seem like you're a coward for not rushing in and grabbing it. But you need to really trust yourself. And the self that you're trusting right now is that dark twin. That dark twin, because you can feel in some ways they want to pop out. They want to pop out, and ultimately that is the end goal of that team or that situation, to get you in the spotlight, catch your shadow, catch you out, like evil Yoda. You saw that episode of the Clone Wars? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that's really them. That's who they are. You know what? I own my shadow. I know who I really am. I know. You don't have to tell me about different aspects of myself. The difference in Gemini is that there is a really stark difference, and sometimes that shadow gets away, and ultimately you don't necessarily know exactly what it did when it did it. And in a lot of ways, what Geminis will do is try to retreat after that and not want to confront it at all. Just like, because that's their end game. That's the end. That's the end. Once Dark Twin comes out, it's like, I'm going to forget everything past this point because I'm done. But ultimately, to be done with this ongoing scenario, you can't be done, because being done right now would let them win. And that universe is plucking. It's plucking at that Achilles heel. It wants to goad you out, like to get you out. You want to remain in control of a situation. I know that you want to seem like you're in control of this situation, but ultimately, do not let pride come first right now. Ultimately, the best thing for you to do right now, Gemini, is to basically say, whoa, I feel a little steamrolled right now. To be totally honest with you, I did ask for this, I did request this, I did want this, I did talk about this, but ultimately, this is also now coming at a time that is really difficult for me. Really difficult for me. And I feel awkward, I feel embarrassed. Like, really grab a hold of all those things that you're feeling, which can be difficult sometimes, right? But like, that's the twist. Like, that's the twist, is like, how do we behave under pressure? How do we deal with those things that are normally difficult for us? And the 100%, the key here is 100% honesty. To remain in control of the situation, it is 100% honesty. To be really truthful and really open. You don't have to share any information you don't want to share, but to be really honest about what it is that you're feeling. I feel disturbed a little bit by this scenario. Let me tell you, explain to you why I feel so uncomfortable right now. And ultimately, this is what will work for me. Is there any middle ground? Because the middle ground is that sweet spot here that we're supposed to be focusing on. But that middle ground ultimately is also something inside of you, between that part of you that wants to jump out, defend, and annihilate, and that part of you that wants to remain in control, remain calm, and also kind of remain lighthearted about the situation. So what is this teaching us? That's really the main question here, because this is a teachable moment. Mercury, which is your controlling energy, is in retrograde, which means it's already introspective, but it's retrograde in Scorpio, which means it is super introspective, teaching you about your triggers right now, teaching you about kind of like, it could be bringing up some shit from the past, like stuff that you thought was over, stuff that you just never wanted to look at and see. Are you going to be ashamed of it? Or are you going to embrace it? You know, not in a way of that's boastful and prideful, but in a way that is just, I guess what I'm asking you to do is like talk about it with me, because I'm not going to deny that aspect of myself. That's true. But ultimately, does that aspect of myself mean that I'm that 100% of the time? Does it mean that I was capable of all this other stuff? You know what I'm saying? It's like trying to trash talk somebody. Somebody's trying to like throw shit at you. Be aware of it, man. Be aware of the shit bombs that are coming at you, you know, and like, know that you're allowed to duck. Know that you're allowed to dodge. Know that you don't have to stand there and take them to the face to prove anything. You know, you're still allowed to avoid things that are meant to harm you, right? But ultimately know they're coming so you can like pick up the evidence afterward and say, see, this is what was really meant. This is what was really happening during that moment. Just an FYI so that you know. You know, do that investigative work. Go ahead. Go be with your Mercury, right? In Scorpio, do that investigative work to find out these intentions. If that intuition inside of you is telling you something's up, believe it. Because something's up. See, you're out to create something. You do have a goal. And it's like, are you going to give up on that goal? Are you going to let shit be flung on it just so that somebody else can make a mockery out of you? And when they try, are you going to let Dark Twin come out and annihilate them? Or are you just going to use it as a moment to allow the world to see who they are and who you are if you can remain calm? Because this is what it is. It's understanding yourself. It's understanding that there is a middle ground and there is a way to connect those both sides of yourself. There is a way to wrangle them both by being honest. By being like, oh shit. You just checkmated me, motherfucker. I see that. You're backing me into a corner. Why? Maybe they were that afraid to lose. What's really hard right now, I think this is part of the caveat of this situation for you guys, is there is a moment that was so close to you getting everything that you wanted. And then this comes in. Of course. When else is it going to come in? It's going to come in right before you think you're going to win something. Well, they don't want you to. And they know that you're close, and they know that you're open, and they know that you're vulnerable, and they want to get you right in the face with a load of shit. I guess what I'm saying to you, Gemini, is believe in your ability to win enough to dodge this false win. You don't have to grab for everything. You don't. There is maybe, I think, in some ways, aside from this moment, a sense of a new love offer, which can also be maybe what you're thinking of dodging, because it's a little scary for you. Like, if this has to do with relationships, which it could, because we're still on Libra season, right? There's a sense of, are you going to dodge this? Is this what you really wanted to begin with? Or did you get yourself into a circumstance where you were falling in love with a concept instead of an actuality? And that this is going to be that trigger moment of like, do I up and leave? Do I up and go? And if it doesn't mean you don't have a right to up and go. If something ultimately is still not feeling right for you, you always have a right to leave it. But how do you leave? Because how do you leave is ultimately the last statement that you make to anybody, which means it's the last impression you make. So what kind of impression are you going to make even if you decide to leave? Because like I said, you are allowed to dodge what you perceive as a pile of shit being flung at your face, but ultimately it's how you dodge it. that is going to be like that last visual of who you are. How do you exit the room? There is definitely ties that you want to cut, right? Changes that you want to make, things that you want to put in your past. You see the full moon, letting it go. Letting it go. Taking action to free yourself, liberate yourself from anything that isn't working for you, okay? Okay? But ultimately, is what is on the other side attacking you? Or is it just wanting you? So what is the perception? Because you could very well be getting shit flung at you, or it could just, because a dark twin, it could start feeling like shit being flung at you when really it's just somebody who needs you, wants you, has started to make you important to them, if it's more on the loving side, right? So ultimately, what is that truth that you're really faced with? What's the truth inside of you, and what's the truth of the scenario? You don't have to make them the enemy in order to be true to yourself. There is a middle ground. There is a defensiveness here. Don't need me that much. Right? There is a little bit of, perceiving some sort of attack or onslaught, right? There is that energy right now. So it's going to be very, very difficult. I'm telling you, this week is going to challenge us in the absolute worst ways. And the worst way for you is that whole perception, and allowing yourself to be honest, despite the fact that, in other words, be honest with both sides. Not just with your feelings, but also what is coming at you and why are they doing what they're doing? Are they really trying to trap you? Are they? Because yes, for some of you, I'm telling you right now, for some of you, that is the case. But ultimately, even if they are trying to set a trap for you, are you going to latch out? Are you going to let dark twin out to annihilate? Because isn't that what the trap is really about? Or are you going to be like, honest? Why are you trying to trap me? Why does it matter to you this much? What exactly do you want here? Because this is what I feel comfortable with. And if it doesn't make you comfortable, I'm sorry about that. But I got to go with my boundaries. I got to go where I set. Ultimately, maybe we just agree to disagree. But there is a way for you to not allow dark twin to jump out and make you look like as bad as they kind of want to make you look. There is a way. And that's honestly acceptance. Acceptance of the circumstance, acceptance of their intentions, even acceptance of their feelings, if their feelings are, if you're dealing with somebody's more tender feelings, if their feelings are not convenient for you right now. It's ultimately going a little bit deeper, one step deeper, and saying, well, why don't I want this? Am I running from something? Am I running from something? Am I afraid of commitment? What are these issues that keep popping up in me? It's a good time to have an honest conversation with yourself and let that outward situation just almost like fade into the back for a second, because that's really what it's about. It's about realizing what's going on inside of you. It's about what these outward incidences are revealing about what's going on inside of you. That's the real point right now. So it's about your internal conversation. It's not about the external one. Let's get into the main reading. Damn, that shit just popped out. Something's coming out of the dark. Something's being revealed. See, but it landed exactly like this. So I want you to know that it's true. You haven't made up your mind yet. You haven't made up your mind if you're ready to take off. And just that truth, that reality, is like, okay, what's holding me back inside? Forget about the argument on the outside. My main enemy is right here inside. What is it? What is it that is making me, and don't hate it. Just have an honest conversation with, what is it that's making am I scared of commitment? Am I not scared of commitment? Am I too ambitious? Or like, just the ultimate honesty inside yourself. Give yourself that time. This is you. It all works through you. It's all happening in you and through you. And you do have more time than you think. It's almost like the motherfucking Matrix. When everything slows the fuck down. You can slow things the fuck down. You can. You have the right to slow them down so that you can like sort of feel still like you're interacting with them, like you're in control of them. Like, take the time that you need, Gemini. Assert yourself in that way. Yeah, there's something that you're holding on to. Something that is underground, buried deep. This would be those things that, like that dark moon stuff, the stuff that we don't want to confront about ourselves, or feeling buried and feeling controlled and feeling manipulated. This is a trigger for you. 100%. But you can get over this. This could very well be something to do with finances, of course. Something to do with, finances or financials that you really wanted, kind of like being set out there as a trap, like come and get it. But you're like, hold up, because it doesn't feel right. But so it could be part of the baiting mechanism, but it's also a sense of saying there is a way out through honoring and respecting yourself. There is a way to handle the situation. Gemini. Ooh, okay. Damn, the cards be telling a story and shit. Okay, this is how it's going to end up. Miracles, blessings, and abundance. So this is once again also Taurus energy. Be at home and trust the great mystery. I feel like in the past, maybe you got a little bit too comfortable with something. Like, that's what this energy is. Like, you really got way too comfortable with the idea that something was just going to work out and work out exactly the way that you wanted it to. And I'm not calling you foolish for it. I'm just saying you settled in and you dove into the expectation that everything was worked out. And it's, or maybe you got a little too cozy with a specific someone. And now you're starting to be like, I don't know if I feel cozy being this cozy. Impatience. This is impatience of wanting to jump right into something and react. And this is romance gone wrong. So, okay. I'm just going to say that there's always enough. This is maybe feeling all of a sudden like there wasn't enough, a loss of love, or maybe that's what the temptation is. Like, that's what it is. It's like tempted to say there's not enough love. Tempted to say it just won't work out. Tempted to just bail ship. Because ultimately you don't feel the love, or you don't feel comfortable in the love, right? Or it doesn't match that sort of expectation, or maybe you're not as interested as you once were. There is a lack of love here. It's almost like a sense of, it could very well be, I always assume it's you, but it could be them. It could be them losing patience with you and losing love for you because you aren't making up your mind. You could be dealing with that energy, somebody trying to goad you or push you or kind of like make you ready when you're not. But ultimately, the big question here is, okay, well, why am I not ready? Is it because they're the wrong person for me? And even if they are, what is this moment teaching me about myself and my relationship to commitment, to love, and to my own feelings? Because ultimately, it's your relationship to yourself and all the both sides of yourself that is ultimately the most important. Because if you can't find a way to harmonize that, then you're never going to harmonize with anybody on the outside. So this is a wonderful opportunity right now, Gemini. A wonderful opportunity for you to learn that internal harmony that tunes up your instrument so that you can go and play in tune with anybody. Because this is like that retuning time. And that's what the abundance in the situation is. This is also a sense of Taurus energy, something to do with finances, something to do with beauty, something to do with Venus. Where is Venus right now? Venus is in Mercury. No, Venus is in Virgo. Interesting. Venus is in Virgo and Mercury is in Scorpio. Ultimately, especially when it comes to love, it's that testing period for you when the love gets boring. When it starts to get a little too real and a little too mundane and a little too settled and a little too ordinary. And that starts to make you uncomfortable. But ultimately, who are you in love with? Who are you? Who are they? Are they really shitty? Or is it just a circumstance that isn't right for you right now? It's a good question to ask yourself and to allow yourself to sort of like open up to that internal dialogue. There is always an extended reading. You guys know that. The link is below. Feel free to go over there right now because ultimately there's some enigmas. There's a lot on this board. And what tarot will do is it will articulate the details and come up with more messages. So it's always important. The link is below. You're invited over. But I also ask you to stay for this next segment, which is angel guide, spirit guide, and angel messages. Because they have their own voice. And I think they're very helpful voices. Truth. The best way through the current situation is just speak your truth. What did I say? Right? The whole time. Contrary to what you may think, no one will be hurt if you express exactly how you feel. Exactly how you feel verbatim. Because it's almost like somebody's counting on the fact that you're not deep enough to get in touch with that part of yourself. That you don't have enough courage to actually say what you're feeling. Prove them wrong. Precious gift. Friendship, family, and love are precious gifts. Do not lose sight of what is most important. Know where you stand and be okay with standing there. Archangel Sandalphon, I have heard your call for help. Your prayer will soon be answered. Oh, okay, Gemini. Anxiety. Yeah. You can start to feel it building inside of you. I know that. We surround you with the healing light of amethyst. Take a deep breath and breathe in this beautiful violet light. Feel your anxiety melting away. There is nothing to fear. There is only love. Love coming inside yourself. Self-acceptance. Destiny. Oh, let's see what, I wonder what tarot has to say. Your destiny is to blossom, to shine, to transform to an ever greater light. So you know in so many ways that you are capable of more than being afraid of this or not being able to get over this. You know that you're capable of more, that you are a bigger person than this. And so trust in that. I'll see you guys over in the extended.